What's up guys, it's Missy. I am back with another SimCity Buildit video. Today I'm going to be talking to you lower level players about the Contest of Mayors and the best way to deal with upgrades. So for those of you guys who are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. We recently just hit 1,600 subscribers, so now we're going for, what, 2,000? I know that's such a small number compared to some of them. But anyways, yeah, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and let's get started. So, for those of you guys who are relatively new to the Contest of Mayors, well, you got a lot to learn. But, needless to say, for those of you guys who have been following the channel for a while and are somewhat familiar with the technique in which I've been teaching to help you guys pick your assignments, you do know that the technique that I'm teaching, this specific video, is going to be for low-level players, players that are between levels 11 and 30, that do not have a regional map unlocked. At level 25, you have the ability to unlock a regional map, but you shouldn't, okay, because it really screws your game up. Alright, that being said, if you fall into the category of below level 30, between levels 11 and 30, and do not have a regional map unlocked, this video is for you. Okay, so in the Contest of Mayors guide that you guys have copies of, and if you don't have a copy, there is a copy of it on our Facebook page. If you type in SimCity Buildit, MissyAnne on Facebook, you join our group, you click the Files button or the Announcements section, and there you will find copies of all of the guides and in the description of all of the YouTube videos as well. Okay, so for those of you guys who are familiar with the guide, you'll notice in there that there is a spot that says how to deal with upgrades. That is no longer the way that you're going to be dealing with your upgrades. I'm going to be removing that section from the Contest of Mayors guide and putting something else in its place. I'm going to be explaining that right now, actually. So, when you guys are looking at your list, the very first thing that you guys do is your task assessment and your task breakdown. A task assessment is where, well, actually the first thing you do is set the scene if you're looking at anybody else's list. Setting the scene is where you look at city level. This will tell you, you know, how many factory slots the person has, if they have gold tokens unlocked, all that kind of stuff. Once you have an idea of what league they're in, or yourself, you know, so you're in Mega, that means it's all hands on deck. You know, you're no holding back, in other words. So you're in Mega. Okay, that means you start with 60 tasks. It's the beginning of the contest. The very first thing you do is what? A task assessment and a task breakdown. What is the difference between a task assessment and a task breakdown? A task assessment is where you go through each task and you just kind of give yourself a reminder of what that task, everything that you know about that task. For example, if I was doing a task assessment on this list, I would say, okay, I have a non-premium limited epic task here. Non-premium means that it does not meet the 3,000 points value, meaning that particular task can never be worth at least 3,000 points. That being said, that makes that a non-premium task. When I said limited, that means that once the resources are used up, there is a limit. That's what that means. So, for instance, war card upgrades. That is a limited assignment. Once the war card upgrades are dealt with, or once you run out of keys or cards, you can no longer do that assignment. Epic projects are limited, especially for players who are camping, like yourselves. That means that once all of your regular homes have been converted to epic projects, you can no longer do this assignment unless you want to level up. That being said, you want to get as many epic projects or epic project assignments into your one epic project as possible. Okay, so when you go through your list, you're going to look at each task and you're going to say roughly what you know about it to get a better understanding of kind of what you got going on. Moving down the list, we would say, well, we have a non-premium repair disaster for 2,400. Now at this value, because it's double points week, this would normally be 1,200 points, which means at this value we would just leave it sit. Now we have a 2,800 on the sugar, which in a normal week that is 1,400, which we would leave sit, meaning no touch. Okay. Now a breakdown is where you actually label the task main, rotatable, no touch, cancel. Okay, so if it's a main task, you would put an M. Main stands for one of the obvious choices. Usually there's 3 main tasks in a start list. So at the start of the contest, usually what they do is they list the highest value task to the lowest value task, and they're listed by value, greater to lower, right? You're going to list any ones that are the main obvious choice that exceed 2,000 points. You're going to put an M next to them. If they are a residential that may need to be canceled at a later time, then you would put NT/C. That stands for no touch, cancel. So a task assessment is where you go through and you say everything that you know about the task, and a task breakdown is where you break them down into subcategories of main, rotatable, no touch, and cancel. Once everything has been labeled, then what you'll do is you will refer back down to the Contest to Mayor's Guide and make your selection based on whatever is in your list. So I'm going to do a brief walkthrough of somebody's list from this week. Give me just a second. I'm going to pull it up, and then I'm going to be teaching you guys how to deal with your upgrades. And we're going to go through a couple of people's lists. So give me just a second here. Okay, so this is somebody in my training course. She has put all of her choices in a Google Albums folder and shared the album. If you are somebody who is not in my group or my training course and you would like me to review your choices for the week to tell you how you're doing, then you would set it up like this. You would put it into a Google album and you would make sure that they are in order, because if they're not in order, I won't grade it. I cannot grade it if it's not in order. I need a top and bottom photo to your list. You can send the bottom photo every 4 to 5 screenshots, but I need the full list every 5 or so screenshots. That being said, once you have them all in order, all you have to do is click share, copy link, and send me the link. Then any photo that you add to it thereafter will automatically be updated and I'll be able to view it right away. Okay, so this is the starting list. Now, hopefully you guys can see it here. So as you know, it's the very beginning of the contest. She has 60 assignments. That means that she is in Mega. Obviously, she forgot to take the very first screenshot. Or the very first task. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and grade her breakdown. Now, automatically, the very first thing I notice is a mistake. And that is she has her feed for 1,200 labeled as a no touch. This is not correct. Okay? This should be labeled R for rotatable. Reason being is no touch doesn't necessarily mean no touch right this very second. Otherwise, they would all be labeled no touch, right? What it means is that you're not going to touch it for the duration of the contest, more or less. So, that being said, at the 1,200 place value, being how it's feed, and I know that she would have prepped feed, because that's what all my trainees prep before CoM begins. I would advise that she would not clear this right away. One, because she has plenty of other options available, but two, because of the fact that she is a low-level player who's camping. She is in a position where if she does get an upgrade in the streaks, it's going to basically make her fail the streak because she's not going to be able to do the upgrade because she's camping. That means that she would have to cancel that task before she would be eligible to even look at the next streak. Now, how can we increase her odds of being able to finish the streak? By allowing all of the other upgrades to stack up in the main list, and once we get the 7 upgrades in the main list, then we can go ahead and do the streaks. Now, little tip for you high-level players. If you're a high-level player and you can do all of the tasks that go into the streak, should you start your streaks immediately or should you wait? Well, you should wait, okay? Wait till you get to about 20 to 25 tasks left and then start doing your streaks as a high-level player. Reason being, you'll notice that once you do the streaks, your overall average will start to drop. And the reason for that is because the game is trying to level you out. Because it just gave you a ton of bonus points, it's just going to start throwing you a bunch of terrible point assignments. That being said, if you can do the first half of the contest the best that you can to get as many points as possible, like always, and then the last 20 or so tasks go through all of your streaks, and then the game won't have time to level you out. Now, that's the same concept for a low-level player as a high-level player. The only difference between the two is low-level players are going to have a harder time because they can't do upgrades. So they have to make sure that the upgrades are within their main list. That being said, let's continue on down this list. Now remember, this is double points week, so all of these values are actually half of what they would normally be. That being said, right now we would have to have a task be worth 4,000 points or more in order for it to be considered a main task. So it's usually 2,000 points or higher, but double points makes it 4,000 points. That being said, let's move on, and that is she also marked glass as no touch. This is, again, another mistake. This is not no touch, this is just rotatable. She might not be doing it right now, but it's still a rotatable option. The main task is a task that reaches 2,000 points or higher. In this case, 4,000 points or higher. So the next two is a London delivery and a Epic project. Both of those meet the main task requirements, so we would mark those with an M. The next one is plastic for 3,480. This is a rotatable task. Then we have a last resort rotatable task, which is coins. Now, the reason this is last resort is because it usually comes back within 2 to 6 rotations, and typically, because it doesn't open up very good opportunity, it's a good way to open up something temporarily, right? So usually, if you have no other rotatable options that you can utilize, then you would go ahead and go for the coins, saying that it was more near the end of the contest. You know, if it's at the beginning of the contest and you're already screwed, you're going to have to figure out a way to open something up, because that's not going to be enough to do it for you. That means that moving on is shovels, 2,640 points. This is a rotatable task. Monster at 2,000 points would normally be 1,000 points. That makes this no touch. Duration of the contest, you can just cross it off forever. Okay, moving on. Upgrade London building for 2,000. So on a normal week, that's 1,000. No touch, that is correct. It's not a cancel, it's just a plain no touch. Same with the design challenge, no touch. So now she has 2 upgrades in her list so far. So 2 out of the 7, so she just needs 5 more. Okay, she has a Launch Attack and Club Wars. That is rotatable. She has a premium VU rotatable, and then she has a rotatable Melons task there at the bottom for about 1400. So the only mistakes that she really made was that she marked some of the ones up top no touch when they're not no touch. Okay, moving on. Which would be the very first selection that she should make? Well, you don't move to your rotatable tasks until all of your main tasks are dealt with. That being said, Epic or London, which one should she do first and why? Is there any reason why one has priority over the other? Not really. I mean, she could do either one right now if she wanted to. Either way, they're both probably going to be getting done right away. So the first thing she could do is look at London, see if the flight's there, see what she needs to complete the flight, and then go from there. And maybe start her Epic, depending on what her inventory looks like. Now, because she's one of my trainees, she should have a damn good inventory. I tell my trainees always to make sure that you can do an Epic at any given time. You should have coins, inventory, space. All of this stuff should have been dealt with during their CoM prep. You don't start prepping for something once you're made aware of it. You make sure that you're ready for it before you're made aware of it, because you know that it could pop up. So making sure that all your ducks are in a row, so to speak, before the contest begins is essential in being able to speed things up and get stuff done on time. Okay, so London or Epic would have been correct. Either one she wanted to do would have been fine. So she does the London, and she gets a 4,800 SAPS task. Now, obviously, this is 800 points higher than the Epic project, so obviously this one would be her next choice, would be the 4,800 SAPS. She gets a 3,200 on the repair, so 800 points lower than the Epic project, so she moves to her next main task, which is the Epic project. And you guys can continue to label your tasks as they come in. You don't have to only label them the first time. Totally up to you guys, whatever makes it easier for you. But if you are in a situation where it's relatively easy, one of the things that you can do is write down, because you guys are doing the main rotatable no touch, as they come in, you can just label them. So like that one would have been labeled an R, right? Now she gets keys for, let's see, 4,000. That would make this a main task, as it is 2,000 points or higher. So she would mark that with an M, and that would make it the main obvious choice. Now she gets a 7,200 Latin. So this is the highest it can be worth. That being said, what do we do now? Now, normally, we would do 1 or 2 rotations, see if the game is going to kick us more upgrades, and then go ahead and cancel. However, being how we're in a whole different situation here, where they've increased the number of 2K place values and 3K place values that you get, and the fact that we're dealing with streaks, we don't deal with upgrades the way we used to. So that being said, we are going to leave that sit. If at any point you feel like they are blocking stuff from coming in, then yes, you would cancel. Do a single cancel. We do not do double cancellations anymore. There really is no need to do a double cancellation, because the reason we were doing double cancellations and resetting the list was because after we had 4 of our 2K place values taken up, we weren't getting anything else. Now that we still get other stuff with those place values, we can leave them sit for longer. Okay, so basically the rule of thumb here for upgrades is going to be that if you are still getting high value tasks, to go ahead and leave them sit and stack up as many as you can before you get to the streaks. That being said, the next highest valued rotatable option that she had would have been the plastic, which is correct. Then she gets a 3,100 on the veggies, which is correct. 6,000 London delivery, correct. 4,000 epic points. Now what this means is now that she would have been up to about 100 epic points in total, so she still has half of an epic to deal with. That is why, right there, why you save your epic projects, so that you can cram as many tasks into one building as possible. Just a second, you guys. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Alright, so moving on with the next. We got the epic. Okay, so now she gets another 7,200. Dude, you hear that beeping? That about made my head explode. Okay, she gets another 7,200 on the Old Town building. So now she has 2 upgrades that are at basically the 3,600 mark. It's possible that they could be blocking high-value tasks from coming in, but we won't know for sure until she does a few more rotations. That being said, the 3,600 here, or 3,200 on the repair, is basically a 1,600 repair on a normal week. So, that is the correct choice. Now, let's see here. She gets a 6,000 war card, so she is still getting the high value tasks. She gets a rotatable shoes. Now, anytime that you guys start to get these production tasks coming in, basically what you would do is you're going to look at your shop. So, her fashion store. I don't know what she prepped in the fashion store, but she only has so many options at her level. That being said, let's say that she prepped caps instead of shoes. Instead of, let's say, picking up the 10 caps, what she would do is she would pick up 1 cap, and she would use the yellow arrows above the shops to cycle through, and she would put down 1 shoe. Okay, so right now, what her shop would look like is 10 caps done and 1 shoe being produced. Once the 1 shoe is produced, she will pick up cap number 2 and place down shoe number 2. This will leave her with 9 caps complete, ready for pickup, 1 shoe done, and 1 shoe making. And you're just going to slowly alternate out the caps for shoes until eventually she has all 7 shoes that she needs. And then when the time comes, if she ends up needing to do that task, the shoes will have been getting worked on and done, and this can save you some tokens in the long run. The reason that you don't just clear it out right away is because she's not selecting that task just yet, and if she was to get a caps task in between the time that she does the task she's working on versus that task, she could get a caps task in between there. So there's no sense in wiping out, 10 items that are done unless unless you're actually ready to complete that task. Okay, so moving on, she does shovels for 2640. Let's look at, okay, yeah, so she still has 5 days, 2 hours, so war is still, there's still a lot of time left in war, so that wasn't a pressing matter. So yeah, that was the right choice there. Now let's move on to, okay, so here's an example for you guys. What you guys can do is maybe grab a piece of paper and write down, you guys, anybody who actually really, really wants to learn, follow along, okay? So Formula 1, you write a V for value, then value op, so V/O, and then O. You guys have seen me do this in the math videos. If you write that along the top of your paper, and then you write shovels for 2640. Now, what other task in the list is high in value that she could do? Well, she's got glass for 2800, but more than likely it's not actually done. She probably has feed done. So what's the next task that's high in value? That 2,850 on the coins. So you would write coins 2,850. Okay. Now, what reason are we choosing to do shovels over coins? Why are we doing that? Well, if you follow the math and you start with Formula 1, you would compare the two. Which one has a higher value? Coins. So you write up on the coins. Okay? Then value opportunity. Which one has a higher value opportunity? Coins. But which one has better opportunity? Shovels. Shovels are going to bring better opportunity. Why is that? Because if you refer to your quick guide on the Contest of Mayors quick guide that I have written for you guys, it clearly states that the algorithm is high on coins, so it usually comes back within 2 to 6 rotations. That being said, if the ultimate goal here is to continue to do better, if this is going to result in this task coming right back around, that isn't bringing better opportunity. If we continue on with the math and look at downtime, there is a little downtime on the shovels, but ultimately we need to bring in better opportunity, and the points value difference is not that great, right? So you're only taking a few less points to bring in much better opportunity. That being said, that is why you are picking to do shovels over coins, even though the value is higher on the coins. Anytime that you choose to do something with less points, it's because it's going to bring more points later, right? Okay, moving on to the next thing. She gets another epic project for 4,800 points. Okay, now she's got probably, let's see, she had 50, 50, so now she's up to 160. She's probably near the end of her epic. You know, she might have like 30 to 40 points left. Okay, so now she gets a 3,600 on the cargo. That being said, 3,600 on cargo is correct because it is the highest in the list and it does bring decent opportunity. Then she gets a 40 epic points, which I assume she was able to do that. Now she's got a 6,000 war card, which she does, and then she gets a 4,000 gold keys, which is correct because that brings her to her main task. Hang on. Okay. Now she gets a 4,000 repair right there. Now this again makes this a main task because it's at 2,000 or higher. Then she gets a Tokyo for 2,000. So this you would mark as a no touch. Okay, so now she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 7 upgrades in her list. 2 of them are pretty high in value, so which ones is she missing? It looks like she's missing Paris and the regular one. Okay. Now she gets a repair for 3,200, so she does that, which is correct. Then she gets a 1,500 on the chemicals, which is no touch. Okay, so right here, she has shoes for 2,240. She's got glass at the 2,800, which obviously wouldn't be prepped. She's got VU at 2,000. And where did that, I never saw her do that war card. Or, yeah, that attack. Did I miss the screenshot? Oh, there it is. Okay, so she does the war attack. When she got... Okay, so right here, this is where she made a mistake. Okay, so in this case, this is where I would question what her thought process was when she did this, because if you look very closely, she has a shoes task for 240 points higher than the war task, but she chooses the war task. Why? Well, because it brings better opportunity than the shoes, and because it has a higher chance of giving something decent back, and because of the fact that it's a limited task. She can only do it during war, so it's a pretty good idea to make sure that you get those done on time. That being said, it's also a task that can be worth substantially more points. So she does the war attack. That was the correct choice. But then she does the repair, okay, and that's correct. Now in this situation, she's faced with the exact same thing again, except for she chooses differently. That doesn't make sense to me. So last time she was able to understand why she picked the war attack, but in this case, she has a choice between the shoes, coins, glass, VU, and melons. So which one is the next one that is highest in value? The glass. Now that's obviously not prepped, right? So moving down the list, coins is a last resort rotatable option, meaning it's not going to bring her any better opportunity, so it doesn't make sense to do that one. So the next one on the list that would be closest in value would be the VU. Now this one has a VP, so if you were to take your fancy paper here, okay, this is how you guys are going to learn how to do the contest to mayor's math. So at this point, you've reduced it down to two options. Shoes, okay, for the 2,240. And then you've got the VU for 2,000. So if you were to write both of those on your paper, and along the top of your paper, write V, then V/O, O, VP, VD, so value possibility, value difference, G for game, DT for downtime, L for limited. Okay, that being said, go across and write everything out. The value difference is, or the value on shoes is higher. Value opportunity is higher. Opportunity for shoes versus VU. The VU brings good opportunity. The shoes bring decent opportunity. The VU is better. So why is VU better? Because if you look at VP, value possibility of VU is 3,000, right? So shoes, you don't typically get shoes as often as you get VU. So that being said, VU has a higher algorithm, brings in better opportunity, and has a higher value possibility than the shoes. So now you look at VD, value difference. What is the value difference? 240 points. Is there any downtime? Meaning, are these shoes complete, or are we going to have to wait another hour? You know, for the stuff. Does she have the materials? You know, those types of things. That being said, the correct choice here would have been the VU. That way, she actually opens up the possibility to get those 3K or 6K tasks. Because as it sits right now, she basically, if you do the shoes, you get 240 extra more points now. But if you do the VU, you open up the possibility of getting those 6,000 point tasks that you have zero possibility of getting right now because you haven't done it. So every task that she does overdoing that VU, she has eliminated all possibility of it coming back or coming in at all, right? And given the fact that she's limited to the premium tasks that she's able to do already, she needs to open up any of those possibilities as quickly as possible. So the correct choice would have been VU. So she does the shoes, and she gets an epic, which is on a cooldown. As you can see here, she has listed that it's 8 hours and 30 minutes away. I think that's what she said. Yeah. 8.5 hours. Okay. So she goes with the VU. And then she gets a 6,000 war card upgrade, which she does. And then she gets keys for 2,400, which she marks as no touch. Again, this is not no touch. This is a rotatable option. So when you guys mark things no touch, it needs to be because there's no circumstance in which you would do that task. If there's any circumstances at all which would require that be a possibility, you need to mark it as an R. There are certain situations where you may rotate this in at some point. So marking it with no touch is misleading, right? So same thing with the feed up above. That being said, my guess is now she's in a situation where she has 8 hours on the Epic project. Keys doesn't bring her very good opportunity, so now we need to look at how many tasks are left. She still has 37 tasks here, which means she has quite a ways to go before she can even get into her tickets even. That being said, we need to open up some doorways here because she's kind of running out of options. Doing chemicals does her no good. Doing the glass, depending on what time it is, if it's bedtime, she should get that glass taken care of to get it out of the way and open up a new doorway. The reason I'm saying glass and not feed is because she's still a little too early into the contest to even think of doing the feed. The reason being is because here's the thing with the streaks. The sooner you do them, the faster the game is going to start to throw you bad assignments. The higher the score is, the less high-valued assignments you get because the game is trying to level you out. If you can prolong doing the streaks for as long as possible, get as many upgrades as possible, and get it to about 20 tasks left, then start the streaks. By the time the streaks are over, you're done. The game doesn't have time to level you out. We could have done the feed sooner, taken the risk on the fact that we still are missing 2 of our upgrades and banked in on some extra points. But the game would have started giving us terrible assignments, so there's no sense in doing that. The monster is not going to open up anything significant. The coins aren't going to open up anything significant. And the other 2 are upgrades. So at this point she has melons, glass, epic, and the feed up at the top. She needs to get the glass done and prep melons and then reassess her situation. Now would be an excellent time to take that downtime. Okay, so she has 8.5 hours before she can even do her epic project. If she had prepped the glass, it would be done in, I believe, 5 hours, and she only has to do 1 round. So she would be able to get that done, see what comes in, and then go on to her epic. So she does. Apparently she just wasted 8.5 hours of her time. This right here is exactly what I'm talking about. So she sat around for 8 hours. My guess is she didn't prep the glass and waited to do the epic project. Now this is a really big mistake. And the reason being is because now she wasted 8 hours. Not to mention the fact that she only opened up 1 doorway and she still has so many tasks remaining, she could have got that other doorway opened up and basically done herself a favor. Oh, perfect. Okay, so now, so she does the, okay, so hold on. So 4 days, 21 hours left. And she does the epic project. Okay. Then she's at 4 days, 13 hours. So yeah, she had to wait 5-something hours for the glass. So she just wasted like 12, 13 hours of time that she could have done in 5 hours. Had she done the 5-hour glass first, then done the epic, she would be 8 hours total to get 2 tasks done. Instead, she didn't utilize her time the way she should have, and looked in and seen, hey, you know, I've got this many tasks left. These are all my possibilities that I have available here. How can I work on all of these? You've got to always be working on your other tasks. You can't just say, oh, well, this looks like the good option right now. I'll deal with the rest of this later. If anything, always be looking to kill time, you know, to save time. Any time that you can go as fast as possible, save time, anything like that, you got to get that shit done. So now she gets her 6 out of 7 upgrades, so she's just missing the 1. And at this point, she gets the paint task for 3,120, which obviously would be her next choice because she's kind of running out of options here. And she gets her final upgrade. Now at this point, she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She's got all 7 upgrades here in her list. Let's see. She's got 34 tasks remaining. So she never started prepping the feed when the glass was done, because the glass was done, let's see, let's just double check. Glass was done at 4 days, 13 hours. My guess is she had to wait to get it done. She got paint at 4 days, 5 hours. She did coins. And that was about an hour later. Okay, so maybe she prepped the feed right after. Alright, so in this situation, she does the coins, which wasn't necessarily a mistake. Reason being, I mean, it was a mistake. Let me try to explain why this was a mistake. So in this case, she could have waited for the feed, right? But here's the thing. Looking at her list, if she was right around 20 tasks done, I would say just wait for the feed. But given the fact that she has all 7 upgrades in her list, she has very little options in terms of, you know, anything rotatable that's decent. It really only makes sense at this point to kind of burn through a couple tasks before she gets the streaks going. Because if she does the streaks too early, then she risks basically at the end of the contest it just plummeting her score horribly. So to get maybe 6 to 10 more tasks done before she touches the feed would be nice. The best way to try to get this to happen is to do something that has a possibility to open up something better. Coins in this case doesn't. It doesn't really bring a very good opportunity. She did have melons at the bottom that would bring better opportunity for that. Had it been me, I would have went with the melons because I know that they bring better opportunity, and I know that I have several more tasks that I need to clear before I try to do the streaks just yet. given the fact that the coins bring a little bit more points, but ultimately in the end don't really bring better opportunity, I would have went with the melons. But like I said, I understand why she did what she did, but I would have done it differently. So now she gets repair for 3,200, which she does. She gets another epic for like 4,800, which she does that. Then she gets a war card, another repair, another epic, ladders, epic. Okay, wait. Epic's on a 12-hour cooldown, so she does the feed. For streak 1, now she's in 26 tasks left, so that's good. She was able to burn through some of her tasks. And in this case, she does the 3,600 on the cargo. She gets the VU for 4,000, which is good. Then she gets VU again for 6,000, which is good. Okay, now in this case, she is in a situation where she has 21 tasks remaining. She's got all 7 upgrades in her list. She could do the epic, or she could wait and do the sugar. I would do the sugar under these circumstances, given the fact that she's at 20 tasks remaining. That's worth 8,000 bonus points, and she has all upgrades in her list. So yes, I agree with the sugar under these circumstances. Now she gets London, which she does. Now, right here is where she kind of made a mistake. So, given the fact that she is on streak 3, and you're in Mega, so you get close to 6. Usually they have about 4 tasks, roughly. So, yeah, it's really crucial that she can finish them all. She has 19 tasks remaining plus tickets, so I would not have done the 4,000 on the epic. I would have went with the textiles. That was a mistake. Normally, if we were just comparing task to task, epic was absolutely the correct choice. But we're not comparing the task to task. You're comparing the task to those bonus points as well. You need to take into consideration that what she's looking at. She's comparing value to base value, not base value plus bonus points in what she'd be getting if she did the streaks. You want to make sure that you can get all of the streaks done. If she was to only do her streak assignments from here till the end of the streaks, she'd be right around the end of the contest and banking on all those extra points. So really, honestly, the rest of the contest, it's pretty simple. She's going to be doing only her streak assignments, basically, and she should be able to do every single one of them because she has all 7 upgrades in her list. So moving on, she does the textiles because she gets glass. Okay, then she does coins, which is correct. Minerals, correct. Bricks, correct. Coins, cream, London, seeds, metal, epic, sugar. Okay, so at this point, she is on streak number 5, 2 out of 4 remaining. She's got 8 tasks left. My guess is she'll be right around into her tickets, maybe a little after her tickets, and then she'll be done with all the streaks, and then she can finish up collecting the remainder of her points. Other than those couple of mistakes that she made, she's doing really well. I'm going to go ahead, get this uploaded, and send her a message to explain what she needs to do going forward. But for those of you guys who are a little confused as to what to do with the streaks, that's basically how you want to do it. You want to do the best that you can at the beginning of the contest. Get as many points as you can, stack up as many upgrades as you can, and then near 20 to 25 tasks, start doing your streaks once you get all your upgrades in there, and then get all those done, and you should be good. Now, for those of you guys who have been asking. Let's say that you start the beginning of the contest and you have one of the upgrades in your streaks box. Well, should you cancel it right away? No. If you cancel it sooner rather than later, you only run the risk of it having a higher chance of coming back. For example, let's say that you start at the beginning of the contest and you have a 1200 Latin in the streaks box. You have no other upgrades in your list. You know that you have to cancel that one anyway, so you went ahead and canceled. Is that the right choice? Absolutely not. Why? Because it still has the chance to come back as a Latin upgrade now that you've canceled, but 6 other upgrades as well. It's better to have eliminated that possibility altogether. So in this case, you would stack up as many upgrades as you can in your main list, wait till you're ready to do the streaks, then cancel. Okay? Do a couple rotations on your main list, see if you can get it to come back in your main list first. If you can get it to come back in the main list, you have completely eliminated all possibility of it coming back in the streaks, and that way you can do your streaks without having to worry about it. If you cancel it prematurely, you just run the risk of it coming back worth anything, or worth any one of those upgrades. Ultimately, you want to do the best that you possibly can to avoid the upgrades from coming in, okay? So whatever you have to do to get as many upgrades in your main list as possible without doing too many cancellations, and try to do the streaks about halfway through the contest. That way you don't have your score plummet. You should do pretty good like that. So at that point, let's say that I started the contest with the 1200 Latin. I've got 6 out of 7 upgrades in my list, and the one up at the top is the 7th. I would cancel the upgrade because I have them all in my list. I would cancel the Latin one that's in my streaks. I would do 1 or 2 rotations on the main list, not the streaks. Why am I doing that? That way I can see if I can get it, if it is going to come right back, I can see if I can get it to come back in the main list rather than the streaks box. Once I've done that, I do a couple rotations. If it comes in, great, I don't have to worry about it. If it doesn't, well, I just got to be careful and it's going to be a gamble. And then you do your streaks, and then you, whatever tasks that you have remaining, just do the best that you can to finish up and be done with it. So good luck to you guys. I will do my best to update the guides, get those figured out, and then I will be doing more of the Contest to Mayor's math videos where I walk you guys through and show you guys how to do it. But ultimately, if you guys watch the videos that I have up and you practice, and you can pick any list that you want, you know, you can even go with your list and just practice reducing it down, follow along with the videos, and see what you can get, what answers you can come up with, and see if it starts to make sense. Because really, honestly, when it's all written out, it looks more like complex than it really is. I mean, it is really complex, but it makes it a lot easier. So give it a try, see how you do, and if you guys need any help or you want me to grade your work or whatever, you guys will need to take screenshots just like this person did, but make sure that you do a top and bottom to your list so that I can see the full list. Alright, you guys, good luck.